Hello everybody. Welcome back. It has been a minute since I've done a sit down like this. So I haven't posted in I think almost 2 weeks. I did have some interviews lined up with some other XJW women that I have postponed. I had a little bit of a mental setback last weekend. So let's talk about that, shall we? I'm going to be taking a tiny bit of a step back from YouTube just until I can kind of get myself back in a good headspace. I will still be doing some more interviews. I have quite a few women lined up and I'm just kind of giving myself a little time right now. So let's talk about what happened, because here's the thing. I'm sure this has happened to a lot of people. And again, I am sharing every aspect of my journey because it's a tough journey. Healing is very up and down. And, I don't know. I think having setbacks are normal. So I just don't want anybody to maybe feel like when they have these moments, something's wrong with them, because nothing's wrong with you. If you hear something in the background, my kids are being crazy and just playing like right outside my door. So this isn't going to be a long one. I just wanted to kind of do a quick catch up. So last weekend, my dad and I met up for the first time in almost 2 years. If you've watched my stories, you know that I saw my parents twice after we disassociated, and both times were uncomfortable. My mom didn't speak to me. My dad said very minimal to me. And since that time, we haven't seen each other in person. I've had a few messages from him. I had the letter that they sent to my kids, not me. I have a video of that. But yeah, I went into it hopeful, which I know is probably stupid on my part. He's been telling me for pretty much since, I think it's like the beginning of the year, he'd like to meet up and discuss ways we can be in each other's lives, boundaries that we'd be comfortable with. And I thought that's what this was going to be. And I was sadly mistaken. So, we met up at, just kind of a place near the airport where we live. And, first of all, I got there and saw him kind of walking in as I was pulling into the driveway. When I first pulled up, I saw him walking into the building and he was dressed up like he was out in service. So instantly the alarm bells are going off in my head that he's viewing this as a shepherding call or an elder visit because he was fully dressed up. And I was just like, oh boy, this doesn't feel like it's going to go great. So I, on the way, had said some prayers and truly was like, please don't let me be overly emotional and come across as the crazy apostate. Let me get my points across I want to. Let me show that I am still a level-headed, loving person, but do not let me become the spineless people pleaser I've been with my family my entire life. So when I got there, I was so anxious on the drive. I pulled in, I parked. The second I got in, I was at the calmest I have ever been around my family, as crazy as it sounds. I was in this absolute peaceful state of mind. And, we sat down. He asked me how we were doing, and I told him we were doing great. I said, we miss family, but we are doing really good. I said, we're building, our life up. We're building new family and friends around us. The kids are thriving. I told him a little bit about our oldest being in kindergarten and how well she's doing. And I just saw this shift happen. I genuinely think he was expecting okay, so let me reword this. I swear Jehovah's Witnesses have the video dramas always playing in their head, and the people who leave are miserable and life is horrible and life is falling apart and there's horrible things going on. And I think when I said things were good, he didn't know how to handle that. I think he was hoping I was going to say life is horrible. How can I come back? I need help getting back. And when that didn't happen, a shift happened, and his whole demeanor changed. he kind of like shifted his body a little bit at the table we were at and wasn't like fully facing me. He, I didn't ask like how mom was doing or my sister was doing, because quite frankly, I don't care. I miss my dad. I don't really miss my mom or my sister, because I'm realizing just how abusive they were to me, and I don't need that in my life. So, the rest of the conversation we had was like, I think I was there 30 minutes, maybe. And he, told me that one of the hardest things for him and one of the things that hurts him the most is when we left, he told me, don't burn bridges. Don't do something you can't take back. And that's exactly what I've done. He said, because you have been speaking out, his family, who are not Jehovah's Witnesses, are starting to get opinions on the situation. He said some of your cousins that I was thought I was close to are very strong-minded about this and are kind of turning against me. And I'm sitting there going, well, like, actions meet consequences. I don't know what to tell you. I responded. I said, well, I just want you to know that a lot of these people had very strong opinions about this organization before I even said a single thing. So I said that I won't take the blame for that. I said I'm like, a lot of them had researched the organization and had what they thought about it and felt about it set in stone before I even spoke out once. So that was kind of interesting to have your father say, like, the one thing that hurts him the most is that his family's turning against him. It's like, what about your daughter? What about the daughter you've abandoned? What about that? What about your grandchildren you don't see? The other thing that it was hard. He asked me, well, he did the usual, like, I just still don't understand why you turn against Jehovah. And I said, I didn't, Dad. I did not turn against God. I saw and researched this organization and found out things I could not in good conscience ignore. I could not in good conscience keep my children in. And I said, we took the drastic choices we took to protect our children. I said, I did apologize for one thing, and that was something I did want to apologize for, and that was that we kind of sprung this on them, especially my parents. They had no clue, I don't think, until right towards the end that we were inactive and we were not going, we weren't doing anything. I still kind of carry a little guilt that I should have been a little bit more open, so it wasn't just like completely out of left field in their minds and throwing them so off. So I apologized for that, but I said, we did what we did. Because he said, you could have gone about this a different way. And I said, no, we couldn't have. I said, we took the drastic and extreme approach we took by disassociating because our children needed to be protected. I said, I view this organization with the things I found out as very dangerous, and I did not want my children anywhere near it. And he just kind of was like, I just don't understand. And I sat there. I remember kind of pausing for a minute, and I was like looking around the room, and I was like, in my head, I was processing, like, do I just continue to skirt around the subject and just say, you know what, I don't feel like I need to tell you anything, or do I finally divulge some information? And I decided to tell him some stuff. I said, I don't think it's my place to tell you everything I have found that led me and Lance to the choice we made. But I will say this. I said, I was completely shocked and sickened when I discovered the way this organization hands child abuse. I said, as a mom, I could not be comfortable ever being around these people when I know they don't turn them into authorities. And they kind of like hide them. Like, unless they're seeing imminent danger, they don't tell anyone. And I said, I didn't feel comfortable with that. I said, even one of the governing body members under oath in court said, yes, we may have a systemic issue with this from what what has been investigated. He said that in Australia. I don't know exactly word for word what he said, but I think they asked him, like, would you say after seeing this investigation that you do maybe have an issue? And he was like, yeah, it does appear that way. And he the first thing out of his mouth was like, well, how do you know what you're looking at isn't lies? I said, because everything I've gotten is from like court transcripts and court documents. And he said, well, they can still misconstrue that and like change the narrative. And I said, no, it's under oath. It's word for word. I can read it with my eyes and I can take away from it what I am feeling with this. And I said, I was not comfortable raising my children in that organization. And I said, and quite frankly, I don't think Jehovah God would want to allow this to happen. He would be protecting the most innocent of people, and that is children. So I felt good being able to kind of say a little bit about that. And I know it just was like, he had probably in his mind, he had his alarms going off and like, oh my gosh, she's a crazy apostate. And, yeah, so I'm trying to think what else was said. That was kind of towards the end. He just kept saying, I just hope he did bring up, he mentioned my aunt who I've interviewed on this channel. He's like, I just don't want you to end up like her and regret your choices. And I was like, well, we've been around her. I'm like, we've had meals with her and Uncle Ted and all the cousins. And I was like, I don't think she regrets it. I think she's sad that she's missed out on time with her family, but I don't think she regrets leaving. And he seemed almost shocked that like we've been in contact with her. I honestly don't know like what he thinks. Like we're just sitting at home, like moaning and depressed and have nothing in our lives. Like, no, we're moving on in life. When we were discussing the CSA stuff, he was like, well, that's a problem you're going to run into anywhere. And I said, I understand that. I'm like, it's my job as a parent to educate my children and, let them know like how they protect themselves, but also have open discussions with them so that they know what's acceptable and unacceptable. I said, the difference is we're prepared for that with schools and all these things and these situations that they're in that are not in our control. I said, as a witness, in my mind, I thought I was safest in a Kingdom Hall with my children. So it was very disgusting to me that there was so much happening with predators in that situation. And it was disturbing. And I swear his body shifted farther and farther to the side. And he was like sitting like he was ready to like get up out of his chair the majority of our conversation. I can't remember what else he said. This was all last week. And I will say I was very proud of myself with how I handled myself. Again, I was so calm. I don't know how I was so calm because the whole drive there, I was literally like shaking, and like nauseous. And then the whole drive home, I was like shaking and crying. So I was just super calm, which I'm proud of because I like held it together and I was able to get across what I needed to. I told him that we're always going to hold out hope to have family in our lives, but our lives are moving on. And he asked me if how the kids have handled losing all their grandparents. And I was like, they don't really remember you guys. And I'm like, I know that seems harsh, but I'm like, they were so young. And I'm like, they don't remember you guys. They don't ask about you guys. I'm like, they have grandparents now. And my husband's dad and his wife, and they're the best grandparents. And he seemed like that kind of hurt him. But again, actions have consequences. In Jehovah's Witnesses' minds, they are entitled to treat those who leave like they're dead. Well, guess what? We also are entitled to treat those who are shunning us that way. And it sucks. We're not doing it because men tell us to. We are reacting to how we're being treated. I'm not going to sit there and every day tell my children about their grandparents and how much we miss them. Like, absolutely not. I'm protecting them. So it set me back a little bit. I went into it hopeful. It's one of those things that it's like, I can't wrap my head around the fact that the people who brought me into this world can so easily shut their love off for me. And as a mom, it's even harder for me to wrap my head around that. And again, I went into it really thinking I was going to walk out of there with my dad back. Even if it was not the same, but at least to some extent. And when it became glaringly obvious that nothing has changed, that nothing ever will change, it was kind of like reopening this wound I have worked really hard on. And it sucks. So, that's where I've been. I've just been processing and, finding the best way to deal with this, because I'm realizing nothing's ever going to change. And, I sat there and saw this man who looks older and frailer, and just realized that I'm never going to have a dad again. So, for those that have left and have had these setbacks, you're not alone. I'm kind of realizing I am going to have to protect myself a little bit more. And if that means he keeps reaching out like this randomly once a year, to me, it's not worth the mental anguish it puts me through, before, during, and after, when the outcome is always going to be the same. And that's my dad walks away and is still shunning me. So, with that being said, I just wanted to kind of fill you guys in and let you kind of know where I've been, let you know that I'm taking just a tiny step back to kind of recenter myself from YouTube. I'm thinking like back once October hits, I'm gonna probably be feeling better again. I've got my therapist I'm working with, and I'm trying to just focus on that right now. So, yeah. Shunning is disgusting. I've said it once, I'll say it again. I hope this organization, I don't think it'll ever go away, but I hope it does. I just keep hoping that something shifts. But I'm realizing when it comes to my own family, I don't think it's ever going to happen. So, there's a little update. On a plus side, I got a new tattoo. Before that, it's almost a couple weeks old now. And, yeah, if you follow me on my social media, I'm still kind of posting stuff on there. I've gotten a little bit more active again on TikTok. The JWs in TikTok are different level. I think the vast majority of these are either new Jehovah's Witnesses or studies, because they are insane and kind of mean and evil. And I've been having fun fighting them on there. I started a little series called Shepherding Calls, and I shepherd the flock. Okay, so that's all. I just want to do a quick update. Follow me on TikTok if you're on there. That's where I'm posting most of my stuff right now. And I will be back to regular YouTube soon. I just needed a little bit of a breather, a little bit of a mental reset, and to just focus on getting myself feeling better again, because that threw me for a loop. And if your JW family asks to meet up because they just want to see you, it's a trap. Just kidding. I don't know what I was thinking. I really don't know why I went into this thinking it was going to turn out any differently. But I did walk into this hopeful. I genuinely was maybe he'll say he can come see us like once a month, or we can meet up, or he'll be my dad again. And then when Jehovah's Witnesses ultimately pass the, like, you can celebrate birthdays now, he can come to birthday parties. I was sadly mistaken. So, there we go. Hope you guys are doing great. Thank you guys for watching as always. I'll be back with my regular content. I'll be back with more XJW women speaking out. And thanks for always being here with me, supporting me, being patient with me. Thank you guys. I appreciate everyone here. So that's all. I'll see you guys next time.